Tupac Shakur lived passionately, fully and inspirationally. Moments were rarely wasted. The night before he was fatally shot, he was in the studio in LA before leaving for Las Vegas.
We got a call, I think like Wednesday or Thursday, and said we're going to do a song for the Mike Tyson fight. So, you know, Tupac wants to do a song, you know, Tyson talked to Tupac, wants him to do a song. All right, cool. And so we sat there for 2 days working on the music. And then on Friday, was it Friday? Yes, fight was Saturday. Yeah, so Friday, Tupac was to show up and, you know, do the lyrics for it, you know, and finish it off. We mix it Friday night. They go off to Vegas and do the fight. The night of the session, Friday night, I remember it was early in the afternoon, about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Pac had been apparently at a video shoot all day. We get the call, should be there at a certain time, have it all set up, have the microphone set up. Everything needs to be up and running when he walks in.
He would not walk into a room unless he was supposed to be there for a purpose. He ain't just going to walk into a room and be standing around. He's there because he's needed for something. He was constantly moving. I mean, you know, we was recording all night. He'd be on the movie set. He'd come back. It wasn't like, oh, I'm taking 2 days off and getting a hotel room, you know, and relaxing. Hell no. Which maybe had to do with the fact that he always kept saying, I'm going to be dead. They're coming to get me. They're coming to get me. So I think he wanted to get as much done as he could.
He would sit there and have so much fun on the mic. You can just hear it in his voice. He's jumping up and down. I was looking in the vocal booth while he's doing it. He's jumping up and down, throwing his hands up, just all excited, having a good time. Comes out of the booth after we finish the song. He comes out of the booth. Is that it? We're like, yeah, that's it. We were just told to do one song. He's like, well, how long do we have the studio for? Well, we got it for 12 hours. All right, well, we got some time. I'm not leaving for Vegas for about another 6 hours. Why don't we do some more songs?
I mean, you know, it's not like these rock and roll clowns that spend 3 days getting guitar sounds. You know, seriously, they don't spend 3 days. They spend about 5 minutes, if that. I mean, when they were done with the rap, they pulled the mic down. I was playing a horn part. I better have it because there wasn't sitting there crying, my headphones don't sound right, I can't work under these conditions. You know, there's none of that.
It was just intense fast, you know, faster than 80,000 cars lined up at McDonald's wanting their hamburgers, you know what I mean? It was just bam, 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 bam. I remember one time, I was telling you earlier, where he would like, he'd want to turn the air conditioning off and make it hot like person, he'd jump around and shit. And just totally get into it.
Pac, like the flow, you necessarily didn't have to have the perfect part, but if it flowed right, you were cool, you know? And they moved on, so in retrospect, you could get 2 or 3 songs done a day. I mean, done, ready to go to radio.
But what was interesting was he would never, most people would come in the studio, hey, let me hear my last 8 songs I did. He never even wanted to hear the shit back. He would never, like, ever request, hey, let me hear that song. And he'd never say nothing like, hey, you know, that mix ain't right or that shit. He didn't give a crap about that. All he cared about, like he said to me once, just put my vocals real loud and turn the drums up and I don't give a shit about anything else.
On that last night working in the studio, Pac was relaxed and having fun, but engineer Scott couldn't believe how productive he was.
So then the food and everything comes in, everyone's eating, everyone's having a good time, drinking. Next song's done. All right, I already got lyrics for it, let's go. Boom, runs in, does another lyrics on this other song.
One thing I thought was interesting, sometimes he'd write his lyrics down, when we'd leave, I'd look at the lyrics. There was never a misspelled word, and there was never something crossed out, like, you know, keep rewriting. It was just all the words spelled correctly.
The Outlaws start running in. Boom, 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 boom. Everyone starts going and doing their thing. All right, that's 2 songs. Let's do another one. Get another one, Damon, come on. So next you know, Damon's off in the corner doing another song. About another hour later, Pac runs in again. Let me do another verse. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Starts writing it out, gets on the mic and starts spitting again. So just that whole night was just memorable because of the way how professional he was.
What we got to admit in the end of the day is that the guy was incredibly talented. Bondi Curtis Hall, the director, told me that when Tupac was acting in his film Gridlock, that he was supposed to have written a kind of spoken word piece, maybe 16 bars, lines to fit in to the film. But Tupac had forgotten he was supposed to write it the night before. So he said he sat down in 10 minutes, unerringly, without any mistakes, any misspelled words, without missing a beat, wrote a rhyme, performed it, and he said he knocked it out. He said he was stunned.
we always joke, me and Tim, that it's an action movie. We're action stars now. We running and stuff. And if you look at us, we look like the two most unlikely action stars in the world. It's always like we're the new, we always joke like we're the new Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. I'm the Mel Gibson, he's the Danny Glover.
He was the kind of person that had so much to accomplish. I don't think he had a death wish, but I do think that he realized that he was going to die at some point at a young age, you know. I used to tell him, you talk too much about death as far as I'm concerned, it gives me the willies. But no, I think he was not totally, let's put it this way, he was happy but not satisfied. Because number one, he had so much that he wanted to accomplish, and he was really getting more and more, as I said, into the acting and also into writing and the production of films and literature, poetry and things of that nature. And I think that he was feeling that maybe his stay at death row was coming to an end, that he had accomplished as much as he could there, and that he wanted to move forward.
Tupac never got a chance to move on from Death Row Records. He completed his last Death Row album, Machiavelli, only weeks before he was killed. Since his death, hours of recordings from the past decade have been released. Given how obsessively Tupac worked, it is hard to believe that there isn't still much more to hear. The last project that he personally oversaw was the Don Columinati, the 7-Day Theory, aka Machiavelli.
Machiavelli, which we did sort of tongue-in-cheek, and it was not really to come out. And then after Tupac was murdered, it did come out. But before that, it was going to be just sort of an underground thing.
Something like Hail Mary uses the bells that you would hear tolling at a funeral. And the whole Machiavelli soundtrack, I mean, it's very hard not to think he knew he was going to die.
But I tell you, the first time I worked with Tupac, it was a trip because I didn't know his work habits, right? And so usually in rap, like after the guys do the beat, you put the tape on cycle and everybody smokes pot and gets on the phone, pages their chicks and all that shit, and takes 3 or 4 hours to write their lyrics. So when we finished the first track, I was like, great, I can take a break. Then he comes back in, you better get in there, Tupac's mad. So I walk in, Tupac looks at me and throws his book at me with his lyrics, and he's like, you motherfucker, if you ever leave this studio again, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass, right? And I'm like, dang, I was gonna smart off. Thank God I didn't, because he probably would have jacked me.
It wasn't a peace, love, and happiness vibe. It was more of get the job done, you get it right, you're concentrating. It's like pro sports, you're not, you know what I mean?
The next day he comes up with Timothy Roth, the actor. They were working on that movie, Gridlocked, right? So Tupac, totally different mode. He's got his suit on, he's playing this little, he's with all these white people and he's playing, he's about as white as you could possibly get, right? And I'm still kind of pissed from the night before, but he's got this grin on his face. And then he says to me, bet you're glad this ain't a Tupac session, aren't you? I said, no, it's whack, man. I want to make a record. And he said, from now on, you're my engineer. I said, okay, let's do it.